Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show that how we can integrate Zephyr with Jira and how we can achieve better test management and more traceability of test scenarios or test cases, right? So currently, the Jira by default doesn't provide any feature or functionality which will provide you more traceability of your test cases or test scenarios. So we can achieve that by integrating few apps with Jira from the marketplace, and so Zephyr is one of them. Okay, so let's start and see how we can achieve those things in Jira from the scratch itself. So I have my Jira Cloud Dummy account logged in, and let's start by creating a project first. So let's say my project is test project here. Okay, and the template type is not this one. Choose software and choose Scrum. Okay, so let's create. Yeah, so our project is created. Now right now, yeah, you will see a typical Jira, board over here, where you can find option to backlog your sprint, your different kind of reports over here, and issues, components, code, release, project, and all. But in order to get more traceability of test cases or test scenarios, we need to integrate it with Zephyr, right? So let's go to Jira Marketplace and integrate Zephyr with Jira. So for that, I need to go to the settings. Now under settings, I need to go to apps, right? And so which will take you to the marketplace of Jira, right? Now here you can search for your required apps. So in my case, it is Zephyr for Jira. If I search it here, so yeah, this is the app which I need to integrate in order to get the better test management kind of things. So let's go to that app, and so yeah, obviously it is not a free one. So but we can use it for free for 30 days. Then after that we will have to pay something, so it's a paid one, obviously. So for now, let's try it with the free one. Let's start the free trial over here. So it is currently adding your Zephyr for Jira to your Jira, and let's wait for some time. So it will take around 1 minute max to max, and based on your connection, it can take a few more minutes too. So yeah, it has been added to your Jira. Now let's go back to our project. So this is my test project. Cool. So once you integrate your Zephyr with Jira, so you will find an option here called Zephyr. So this is the section of Zephyr. Okay, so you will this section will be visible once you integrate Zephyr with Jira. And if we are using Bdd framework specifically, so we just need to enable a plugin over here or enable an option. So for that, we just need to go to project setting, and under this project setting, we need to go Zephyr Bdd Cucumber. So yeah, it is enabled. So we just need to make sure that it should be enabled in order to if we are using Bdd framework in our project. So it is enabled. Now let me go back to the board, and so what happens is, basically a product owner comes up with a story or requirement, and delivers the understanding of the requirement to the team, and he or she keeps a track of that requirement in the form of creating a story and adding the details for that requirement to the story itself. So but here if we are integrating Zephyr, so we just have to make sure that every story, right, every story has to be created as part of feature. So if you go to Zephyr, so you'll be able to see an option called create Bdd feature. So each story, each user story needs to be created as a feature here, right? So the PO need to create a story as part of this feature from here itself. So if you click on this one, create a Bdd feature, so you can see that issue type is story right now. And if I'll add a story, let's say it's a dummy story, and dummy description, or let's say as a PO, I want my feature to be developed so that I can, or so that user can use that feature, or you can say so that end user can use that feature, right? So it's a dummy kind of description I have given. So let's create the first story. So yeah, our first story has been created. Let's deep dive into that story and see. Yeah, so this is our story, right? So once the story has been created and we have integrated Zephyr too, right? So yeah, so once the story is created, so one thing which we have to notice here is how the Zephyr will come to know that it is a kind of BDD story, right, or feature. The story is being created as a feature. So there is a tag or label being attached to this story called Bdd feature. Automatically, when you create a story as part of the feature, so which will let Zephyr know that, oh yeah, this is not a simple story, it is a feature, right? Yeah, so once the story has been created, we'll get an option here called feature content, right? So if you click on the feature content, it will take you to this section, feature content section, where you have download feature file option, background, scenarios, and this. So background is something like we know we are using BDD format. So background is something which that piece of code which will get execute before each of your scenarios, right? So let's say as part of this story, I'll have 10 scenarios, right? So for that 10 scenarios, what are the preconditions, or what are the things, what are the piece of code which should get execute before each of those scenarios, right? So let's start creating dummy background here. So given, let's say I have some precondition. Okay. Now when I perform any action, and then I, let's say, verify. It's a basic kind of background which I have created, right? So once the background has been created, now you can start adding your scenarios over here. So yeah, it is not mandatory. If you have something, some piece of code which needs to be executed before these scenarios, then it is fine. If you don't have something, so you can straightforward start creating your scenarios from here itself. So let's say this is my first scenario, right? So let's create the scenario. So once you create the scenario, so it will ask you for the certain steps for that scenario, right? So let me copy and paste the same steps over here, so you can write the same required steps in this given when then format, right? This is my first scenario. Let's create one more scenario here, second scenario. Okay, and let me add same steps over here. Let me create the third scenario. Okay, now let me add those steps for that scenarios, right? Cool. So we have added, these three scenario, these three scenarios for that particular story, right? And let's say in case you want these scenarios to be downloaded, so there is a feature here, you can download that feature file too. But once you can also integrate this to GitHub, so that will be automatically synced, which I'll be covering up later. So for now, yes, if you want this thing to in a feature file, so you can get that feature file. Let's say, let me click it here, and this is a feature file. So you can take a feature file, and you can use the same in your code if you want. So this is the basic story which I have created. Now the second part, we have created a story, right? The second part is to execute the test, right? So we have created this test. Now one thing which you can notice here, if I'll open up any of the scenario here. So see here, the type of those scenarios, the test. See here, the type of that scenario is a test. So with the help of this type, the Zephyr will get to know that, oh yeah, it is a test scenario, or test, automated test, which has to be executed, right? So this is one thing. Now in order to execute these tests, right, in order to execute this test, we need to put all those tests into into a cycle. So let me go to the cycle summary first. Let me create a new cycle here. So version is, let's say, unscheduled, and cycle name, let's say, regression. Okay, so description, you can fill it accordingly. Right, so yeah, you can see all the information. Regression is created by total execution time. We haven't executed those things. And also you can specify the starting date and ending date of that particular cycle here, right? So now let's start adding your test into this particular regression cycle, right? So you can see an option here called add test. If you go here, and you can search, typing your scenario. So this is your first scenario, this is your second scenario, and this is your third scenario. Okay, and if you want these scenarios to assign someone, so you can assign to. So let me assign to me right now. So yeah, so the test have been added to this regression cycle. Okay, you can see, and the current status of that cycle is current status of that test are unexecuted. And you can see different column here: defect, component, label, total execution, and all, right? So yeah, so once the test have been added to your particular cycle, now you can execute those tests either manually, or with the CI/CD integration, in by through the pipeline, right? So if so the DevOps team need to configure these things into your pipeline. So when the test will be running, or once after the successful run of your tests, so the test status will got automatically updated as per the latest test run here. So if let's say this test got passed in the pipeline, so it should be, the status should be updated to the past, and the respective information should automatically get should be filled right automatically. But for now, let me show you manually right now that how it will be executed manually. So if I go here and let's say change the status to pass here, and fail here, and let's say one pass one fail, and let me, 1 second. Let me go to the cycle summary. Yeah, let me make it as unexecuted. So currently the we have three tests in total. So one is pass, one is fail, and one is unexecuted, right? And you can see the status has been updated here, the who by whom it got executed and when it got executed. So let's say you have executed this cycle, and you got a few bug in that, or your test got failed while running in the pipeline. It got failed, and it's a bug, so you can also attach that bug to this failed test cases. So if I'll show you here, this one has been failed. If I go to this execution, as fail, and the proper assignee. And if you have defect created on your board, so you can start typing this and attaching this here. Yeah. So also, if you don't have a defect created yet, you can create a new issue from here itself, and you can add specific comments that why the test has been failed, and you can attach screenshot and all. So it is in case of manual. So in case of automation, the screenshot should automatically be attached. The failure screenshot would automatically be attached, and the status would automatically get to set to fail itself, right? Right. So this was about our test cycle and executing the test inside the test cycle. Okay. Now apart from that, if you go to Zephyr, let me close this quick start. Yeah. Now, once your test scenarios are executed, now you can check your test reports. But before that, I want to show a few other options over here. So with the help of this, in the design section, with the help of this function, this feature, create a test, you can also create a test from here itself, whose type would be test, and later on you can attach that test to a particular story itself. And with and this one I have already mentioned that the PO needs to create story as a feature from here. Then you can search the test, import the test, right? Now, this is a cycle summary. You can see all the details of your cycles and the test cases included in that cycle. Now, if you go to the search test executions, you can see multiple many filters over here. So you can filter your cycles and your projects and the folders and all, assignee, priority, executed by. So as per your criteria, you can filter it out in this section, search test execution section. Also, if you want to export the the outcome or the result of this page, you can also export it. So it will gonna download that in Excel. Let me download it. So this is the CSV file which will return you an Excel. So if you go here, see, one CSV file has been downloaded. Also, if you want in other format like XML and HTML, you can also do that. Now, if you want to customize your filter, so you can manage your filter by here, manage execution filter, right? So now let's go to the reporting section and see how a test summary will look like. So we have total three test cases, and out of which you can see one is unexecuted and two has been executed, right? So if you scroll down a bit, so also you can search your test by versions, by components, by labels, right? Now you can see the test creation within the status of the test creation in the last 30 days, and the status of the test execution in last 30 days in this graph, right? Also, if you go to the test matrix, let me go to the test matrix. Yeah. So in this test matrix, you can see the daily test execution progress. So far we have one pass and one fail. And here in this section, you will be able to see that per day how many test cases are being executed. So you can see one pass and one fail here, right? Now, if you scroll down a bit, you will see the test executions by test cycle, where you can see that how much percentage of that regression test are being executed. So we can see the 100% regression has been executed, and by whom executed, and how many executions have been done by the QA. So you can see by Amir, it is executed. I mean, two test cases have been executed, right? So if you need more information, you can see you can go to this section, execution by date. So here also you can see that how many test cases have been executed on particular that date. So if you hover on it, you can see on 19th of Jan we have executed this three test cases, right? Now if you scroll down a bit, so you will find another section which is having execution list over here. So in this list, you will find all the test cycles which have been created on that project, and test ID, what are the test executions and executed by whom and when. So these all were the details inside this test matrix, right? Now, if you want, there is another section called traceability matrix. So basically, traceability matrix is something which will ensure that for every requirement you'll have at least one test case, right? So you can map your requirements with the test cases over here, right? So you can see this traceability matrix right now. You'll have a you'll have a column called requirements over here, then test, then execution, then defects. So let's say I have this one requirement, and for this requirement I have three number of test cases are there, and executions three executions have been done here, right? So now these are the details which you can find from the traceability matrix. Also, you can filter all those based on this, if you're looking for a story, right, you can pick it here. And what are the release version, the cycles type, like cycles, maybe it is regression or ad hoc. So in our case it is regression, right? So folder, execution status, and also these are the different kind of filters. And one more interesting thing which I found here, if you go to the report type, so it will provide you both both directional, bidirectional traceability. Like you can trace your requirements and test cases in the forward direction, also in the backward direction. So the forward traceability will let you map the requirements with test executions and defect, right? So if I select backward traceability, right, and so it will so right now we don't have any defect, right? So it will first, it will take you to the defect, then execution, then test, then requirements. So right now we don't have any defect, so it is taking the story, right? So also you can export these results in the form of Excel here. So if you export this, so an Excel will be downloaded, Excel file will be downloaded, and you can have all those things in the form of Excel itself, right? So yeah, this was all about our test project, and how we have integrated Zephyr with Jira, and how we are tracking the the test cases, the execution of the test cases, the different cycles which we have created, and the test reports which have been generated, the traceability matrix, the test matrix. So yeah, this was it. Thank you.